Hey, I'm Sarah. I'm 17 years old, and I've been coming to Hot Church for over 6 years now. And being a part of this amazing place that Mugford created, around 17 years ago, I've had the chance to grow really close to God. Um, a lot of amazing people have come and gone from this place, and the impact they've had on my life, that God has had on my life is, it's amazing. And I wish I could come up with a word big enough to describe it, but I don't think there is one. When I first started coming to Hot Church, I wasn't a Christian. In fact, I didn't care at all about what Jeff or Rob had to say when I started. Um, because to me, those were just things that, people came up with to make themselves feel better about dying. I was actually raised in a Christian family, so I went to church a lot, like 10 times a week, give or take a few times. And I was taught about this guy named Jesus in church, in Sunday school. And when I was younger, I actually went on these retreats to some camp in Prescott. And we had to learn these Bible verses. And the better you did when you were reciting them, you got this really cool looking medal. And the better you did, the cooler looking medal you got. And so that's really what I aimed for. I wanted the cool looking medal, and I wanted everybody to see how good I did and how devoted I was to this. But I really wasn't. I was 11 when I started out in Hot Church. I was full of doubts from the very start. And it took a really long time for me to get out of that. I didn't want to give God a chance, but eventually I did. Not many people know about how I came to God, and a part of me would like to keep it that way. But I think there are a lot of kids out there who need to know that it's okay to struggle and be in pain and have these doubts, because it's totally fine. I think you're really supposed to, because if you don't feel the pain of growing up, and there aren't these things that totally break you, you don't come to rely on God. It's just that simple. And one of my biggest struggles was believing without seeing, because if God wasn't here with me, he wasn't here with me every step of the way like another human being. He wasn't real. And I couldn't get past that. But that was my biggest struggle all through middle school. And there have been a lot of leaders in my life that have really tried to help me get past that, and it's worked. And after a while, it wasn't the issue of whether he was real or not. It was whether I deserved this love that he was giving me. All I had to do was say, yeah, I want this. I want to live for you. And eventually I reached that point. It was in my sophomore year. And it's liberating, but I was still held down by things going on in my life, things that I was eventually able to deal with. They were just really painful, and a lot of people don't get that you can still feel pain but have this God who loves you, because people think that if you love God, then he'll protect you and you won't ever feel anything again, any pain. And that's not true. Some of my biggest personal struggles, involve school and depression. I've been depressed since I was in middle school, and that hasn't gone away. That's still a really big issue in my life. And when I was younger, I tried really hard not to go to school. I tried my hardest not so I didn't have to go. And I was like that for years. My first year in high school was spent at a regular high school. But for my sophomore year and about a month of my junior year, I attended a school for at-risk students. So, I went to school with these kids who didn't give a crap about what happened to them. And, I met kids who had been arrested, and drug addicts and drug dealers. And for that whole year I was there, my whole sophomore year, I struggled almost daily with the temptation to just buy drugs from someone and do drugs, because I really didn't want to feel anything. it was really hard, you know. And I really just didn't want to care about anything or anyone, and I was, that was like one of the worst times of my life. And after being back at that school for about a month, I dropped out. And I didn't do anything with my life for months. And months. And months. And now I have my GED. That the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I went on a trip with Hot Church. And that's when I experienced a defining moment in my life and my faith. And it's not really like it came out of nowhere. I've been going on mission trips since I was 11. And there's this high that you get out of doing something like that. It's this God high that, every time before has just gone away within a week of being back in my normal routine. But, the last mission trip I went on was to Houston, Texas, to just serve the homeless that literally crowded the streets there. And it broke my heart seeing them. But, I had this feeling that I couldn't name at first, And it, was with me the whole week we were there. And it wasn't until we got to IYC that I was really able to, I was able to put a name to what I was feeling. And, I felt passion and I felt meaning from what I was doing. And I have never felt anything like that before. And one of the nights at IYC, the speaker had just finished their message, and she called all the people in the room who felt what I was feeling to walk down and show that they were being called to live a hard life of missions. And I went down there. And, it was kind of hard for me admitting that this is what I would be doing, because it's a really hard life. And, you're being called to constantly make sacrifices and just give everything up so you can serve God. But I think I'm ready for this. I honestly believe that if it wasn't for Hot Church, I never would have done it. I wouldn't have come to the realization that God is real, and He's just covering me with His love, and He has something really big and really hard in store for me, but it's worth it. Right? And I just want to thank everybody that has ever caused me pain or shown me compassion, because it's because of you that I'm completely willing to sacrifice my life and my friends and my family and whatever else I have on me to travel and serve with everything that I am for God. So thank you. You matter to me and you matter to God.